Hi everyone, a very warm welcome to all of you who have joined us for this regulatory update session on UAE's AML CFT regulations. Good afternoon everyone. We have immense number of participants today joining with us. It has almost reached almost 100 now, and we are very thankful and grateful for you to join us today to share knowledge and learn from each other. To give you a brief, I work with AJMS in the corporate governance and the legal side. AJMS is a boutique consultancy firm. We specialize in providing niche consulting proposition to our clients in the area of tax, risk, compliance, IFRS advisory, and digital transformation advisory. So at AJMS, we have dedicated this year 2026 to a meaningful growth. Accordingly, we strive to share the knowledge and awareness on risk compliances with all of you. We have with us today Dr. Abhishek Jajoo, who is the Group CEO and founder of AJMS. He is recognized among the UAE's top 10 innovative business leaders. He is honored with multiple awards for his contribution to AML CFT awareness and business innovation. Dr. Abhishek Jajoo continues to influence the regional business landscape through his strategic vision and commitment to compliance excellence. We also have with us Mr. Rizwan Khan, who is the senior partner at AJMS. Rizwan Khan is a postgraduate from the University of Oxford. He has also been awarded Professional of the Month by ACAMS. He is also a major contributor of the book ACFCS Study Manual. Mr. Rizwan Khan has worked as approved Chief Compliance Officer with regulated entities under CBUA, DFSA, ADGM, and MOE. We are grateful to have them with us today. We will be discussing on Circular Number 7 of 2025 regarding the reimposition of United Nations sanctions and Circular Number 8 of 2025 on updating the list of high-risk countries, countries subject to increased monitoring and related measure. We request all the participants to keep the session as interactive as possible. You can drop your comments, questions, feedback in the chat box below. We would be very happy to address those. You can also reach out to us in case you have any queries related to any of the recent compliances under AML CFT. Please drop us an email and we'll be very happy to assist you and address your concerns. Mr. Rizwan Khan, may I request you to open the session?
Yeah, thank you very much. I think like today we have like a lot of audience, and we have requested to Dr. Abhishek, also the CEO of the firm, because he is also like joining us today into this valuable session, because a large audience is there, and he will also, because he is very much well connected with the whole industry, and he will keep us apprised also actually what are the expectations from the industry perspective into these two circulars which recently came. So as quickly like he joins, meanwhile like I start the show, and like then we go one by one to the each slide. We will discuss like what are the new modalities which are expected now, especially into the DNFBP sector, because the DNFBP sector, like they need to adhere with a lot of expectation into the compliance perspective. And we were trying to help them out that how they can align their frameworks, like in which they can adhere with the recent decree laws, like which are recently passed by the UAE cabinet. So we'll discuss like little bit in that perspective. So as I told you, like today the regulatory updates which we are going through for the 2025, in which like one of the new circulars has come, and which is like related to the United Nations sanctions, reimposition for the Iran. And also there is a one circular which will discuss about the financial task force, like which are related to the high risk countries, and we will discuss about the grey list countries also as well. in this perspective, like how the framework should be there for the DNFBPs, what the new compliance updates they need to incorporate into their compliance model. So we'll discuss that in detail. So here we go, like these are the contents. Obviously, contents are very rich, but we will go to the main points of these circulars and how these local circulars, which are aligned with the United Nations, also we'll discuss that. So if we see the regulatory framework right now into the overall, like at an international level, if we see, so what we prioritize, like into our country also, we follow the UN Security Council resolutions and like the new resolutions, especially like 1737, like which is very important for the legal framework. And like recently, as I told you, like in last webinar, we covered for the Federal Decree Law 10 of 2025. So the key features we discussed in our previous webinar also. So then obviously like cabinet decision recently for the implementation of the regulations also came, and the our like most related, especially into the sanctions is the cabinet resolution number 74 of 2020, which like focus for the targeted financial sanctions. TFS, which we say. And obviously, like National Committee, like we have our National Risk Assessment, NRA, and we have our National Risk Strategy also, in which like authorities, they are giving the complete collaborative framework, which is vital for the UAE perspective, like especially for the DNFBP sector, what the steps they need to take for the implementation of the robust compliance. So if I talk about, so overall, into the UAE, we are mostly adhering with the national risk assessment. We are also adhering with the sectoral risk assessment. And also we are following towards our enterprise-wide risk assessment, which we say EWRA, which is the most important document which nowadays DNFBP needs to establish. So now, like the applicability, when we talk about for the Circular 7 of 2025, and it is applicable to the DNFBPs, like designated non-financial business professionals, and in which like real estate brokers and agents are also coming, dealers in precious metals, stone, auditing and accounting firms, and corporate service providers. So if you see like these like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 areas, like especially if we start from the real estate. Honestly, if I tell you into the real estate, there's a lot of requirement to implement a robust compliance, and those like real estate companies, brokers, they need to ensure this thing that they are following the complete SOP from the compliance perspective, in which, because it's a very practical session, so I will one by one, I will keep educating to our attendees that into the real estate, when we are talking about, so obviously our starting point is our policies, procedures, and controls. We will start from here. Then obviously we need to depute some compliance officer who will be the responsible, like to run the show. He will take care of the day-to-day compliance. He will keep apprised to the authorities what are the new updates are coming, how the compliance functionality is going on. So this is like the second, like the pillar which is required for the real estates also, and for the dealer and same like into the auditing and accounting, and also for the corporate service provider. Then like obviously when we have the compliance officer, then we need to think that how we are educating to our team members. So for that, we need to conduct some training like AML CFT trainings. Some trainings like you can outsource, some training there should be in-house also. So trainings related to your customer support staff, trainings related to your staff, like then trainings related to your audit staff, and also for the senior management training. So, and back office personas also, they need to get training. So there are 5, 6 verticals where you need to conduct the like awareness, education and awareness related to the trainings. Then in company, there should be a complete framework for the risk assessment. That risk assessment framework, like every real estate or the precious metal stone or the auditing accounting firms like CSP, they need to ensure this thing that they have a complete risk assessment framework where they can find out the risks which are arising to their businesses. So identification, assessment, and mitigation. So three areas needs to be focused for the all DNFBPs. But as I told you, like this circular which we are talking about, 7 of 2025, it is more related to the sanctions. So we say, like, we will see that in sanctions perspective, what is the key role for these, like, all DNFBP sectors, what they need to do. We will go through with that. So if we see, like, because
that's very insightful, Mr. Rizwan. I just have one small question. When we speak about when we have a lot of members from the precious stones and metals background, from the banking, from the insurance sector, who have joined us, who are the legal compliance head there. So we have a lot of participants with us from those industries. And when we are speaking about imparting those trainings, how frequently do you think they should be doing that in their organizations? How do they build the capacity? Because what I believe, what I have seen, that there is awareness on what are the laws, but the training across the company at all levels, there is some kind of scarcity of that kind of training. How frequently do you suggest that they should be?
Very good question. Like honestly, like if in a real estate or in the gold company, there are employees like 40, 50, whatever like strength they are having. At least once in a year, they all should go for the AML CFT training. And training SOP should be like this, that like which can cover like all key areas. Like if in operation perspective, what is the AML CFT risk is coming, business perspective, what the risks are coming. AMS CFT compliance, they need to understand what are their vulnerabilities and where they need to get more stronger. So those type of training for the AMS CFT compliance team also. Same like the audit team training, like where they can get like more education that how they can assess the effectiveness of AMS CFT program, so which can enhance their capability, especially when they conduct the AMS CFT audits. Not financial perspective, financial audit perspective, but AMS CFT perspective. Specifically, I'm saying this thing. So that those trainings are very vital for the audit team. Same like senior management training, because board, like they will not give too much time. They have a very limited time. So in that limited time, we need to like educate them that why this compliance is important, what are the new regulatory updates are coming, how like you can strategize business into the legitimate perspective. So those type of trainings needs to be given to the senior management also. By the way, through our AJMS platform, we offer a lot of trainings and which can also add value for our audience. And at the end of the webinar, obviously, Sheetal will share the complete details. Those who will be intended to join that training, so they can contact with us. Hopefully your question is answered. And besides this, like the circular, we're talking about the circular number 7 of 2025 regarding reimposition of UN sanctions related to the Iran pursuant to the United Nations Security Council Resolution 1737/2006. So obviously we know like there are some sanctions games onto the Iran like related to the proliferation financing, and in which like United Nations, they have their own stance in which they say like no technical assistance or the training or the financial assistance which can like enhance any activity toward the proliferation financing. So strict measures are coming from the United Nations. They have their stance for the proliferation financing. They want to keep educating to the other countries that in which areas, verticals they need to improve themselves. So then obviously, as I told you, that proliferation financing is becoming a very important part, and we need to now need to think that in our like sanctions compliance and how we are allocating some weightage to the proliferation financing. Like if we establish any risk assessment model for our clients, so in which like what percentage we have given, especially for the proliferation financing. So there should be some scores we need to allocate, some percentages we need to allocate related to the proliferation financing into our compliance program. Then obviously, like arm embargoes, like Wassenaar agreement, maybe some people will be aware of it, that there's a legitimate way also to buying and selling of the arms. But obviously, some arms which are used for use into battle tanks or the armored combat vehicles or like large caliber artilleries. So these type of like which can always involve into some sort of illegitimate perspective into enhancing the proliferation financing or involving into the weapon of mass destruction. So those are very strictly prohibited. So therefore, like the guideline is always there, like a dual usage of goods when we talk about into the practicality. So what we need to do, we need to understand the exposure of that particular item which some company is going to import. They need to ensure this thing that they are meeting that this is a genuine requirement is coming, the company deals into it. So in this way you can like become more robust at your end. But if like our approach is not proactive and we are not applying our like technical skills to understand the exposure of the dual usage of goods, so obviously then it will become a challenge for the firm. Then like travel bans, obviously like of UN is more focused that travel bans for those people, those who are under the special designated nationalist SDN list. So sometimes they impose this type of sanctions because they want to mitigate the risk of the proliferation financing. And then obviously asset freeze is also a tool, so where they can minimize the risk of the proliferation financing when they get like some assets are illegitimate and they are connected with some sort of proliferation financing. So what they do, like they have given the authority like complete powers to the law enforcement, that they can freeze those assets and they can restrict those businesses. So therefore, if you see like all over the world nowadays, there are a lot of revocation of the business licenses in all over the world because due to this reason that some funds were linked with some illegitimate activities which was enhancing the proliferation finance. So like seizures are always there and prohibited items. So when we establish our policy, like especially AML policy, so very clear stance we need to take into our policy. First of all, we need to update these all new circulars, laws and regulations which are recently coming in UAE. We need to update into our policies because as a reference point, we need to always remember that this circular came into in this perspective. Second thing, which is very important, like updation is required that if some company is involved into the import and export of the goods or like remitting funds on behalf of their clients, so they need to understand like which are the proscribed items, prohibited items, so that you need to see very closely, like which list like a parallel in which there is a risk may arise for the proliferation finance. So financial measures, insurance and reinsurance. So obviously, you see regulator nowadays, the insurance sector is also considered, especially in UAE, into the financial sector. And in financial sector, when we talk about so like insurance and reinsurance, they also need to ensure this thing that there's no linkages of their clients, that some of their services which are involved into some sort of proliferation financing or like where sensitivity is very high from the nuclear perspective. So therefore, like there are some financial measures which for the insurance and the reinsurers, so they need to conduct proper due diligence also. especially in that perspective when they are giving the trade marine insurances, especially because mostly I remember like many of the banks, they are offering trade finance services. So they need to ensure this thing that their banks are properly protected from this area, that they are not involved in any importation of such items which are prohibited and which can enhance the risk of proliferation financing. And that the vessel movement, the navigations, what the control they have embedded into their system. So same like this little bit, we also into the DNFBP sector, we also need to apply that formula. We need to ensure this thing that we are not dealing with any SDN, like a special designated national individuals or the entity, which can arise more risk for them. So now the crux of the main of the particular webinar where I wanted to call to the all of the audience through the AJMS platform is this, that what are the recent sanction screening obligations? And sanction screening obligations when we are talking about. So here one by one just go through with this, because our circular 7 of 2025 is more focused toward this, that what we need to do as a DNFBP. First of all, we need to update the screening and verification system to ensure inclusion of the recent version of the United Nations Consolidated Sanction List. So the question is this, how we can update our screening? We are daily based, we are doing trainings, but some of the key areas, if I would highlight to you, you will be very surprised. Let's suppose if I ask you that when you are conducting the screening, sanction screening of some particular individual, so what the scores, like you have threshold you have applied. You say I have applied 85%. So my next question is with you, like that, how much percentage you have allocated for the date of birth, and how much percentage you have given to the nationality perspective. So that's a very vital point, because your screening will be more legitimate, more strong, your like apportionment scores and the weightage you are giving. So we need to take care that what scores we are giving to the date of birth, what the weightage we have allocated for the nationality, what the weightage we have given for the name. So dear friends, the first point which I would like emphasize more, the weightages which you have given, like because you need to conduct your regression testing, we say in other words. And for the regression testing, the apportionment of the scores are very much important. We cannot win the audits only like this, that our threshold is 85% to reduce the, to cover the false positive. But what about that perspective? That we need to think.
I think this was very important point and awareness point that you have just shared, Mr. Rizwan. We also have you addressed the question that was already in the chat box, that what steps to be taken if we get an Iranian nationality client for a real estate company. I think you have addressed that question as well. And this was something very important, scoring and what weightage do you give to each data point?
Yeah, so today, very good question you have asked, because we should, if we want to resolve some problems, we need to understand it very clearly. We need to bring the concern onto the table, and then we need to sort out the issues. This is what we have learned into the Oxford University. When you have this thing, you need to put in front of you that this is the challenge, how we are. So today I will give the solution of it to you. That what should be stance, what we need to perform, what we need to do, especially when someone is coming from like high risk countries. High risk, I'm talking about those countries which are according to the fact of list, as you told Iran, as you told about the Myanmar, like or North Korea. We'll discuss that thing. Because I have brought a framework today, like which we can discuss, we can keep educate to our audience also. Then this like circular is also, so I will address that like into upcoming slides. So that those are also coming in detail. I will explain this question. Then like secondly, like rescreening the all customers, beneficiary owners and transaction counterparts with the latest list of the UN consolidated list. Now, by the way, like we do everyday screening, and when we do screenings, screening is happening. Like at the end of the day, like data screening is happening. Like all existing clients are screened by the service provider. And in the night, like the mail is coming that how much the customer are screened today, and like in which how much the partial name matches, how much the true matches were there. So summary is coming also. But the question is bigger than this, which we need to think. We need to think that, okay, we are doing rescreening everything. But how we are ensuring this thing that we have integrated all like our list which are there in our systems properly updated, especially into the local perspective, like EOCN list into our systems. Because if EOCN has issued some list of the sanctioned people, so accordingly, like it is also upgraded into our systems or not. If it is not upgraded into our system, so obviously the challenge will come. So it's not only like this that we are daily updating through the data screening we are conducting and we are rescreening our clients. It's good. We are doing this. But we need to ensure, especially from the local regulatory list, which they are properly updated or not. So beneficial owners and the transaction counterparts also needs to be screened. And obviously, as a part of the examination, which is the most important part into the screening perspective, is this that there should be some testing to ensure this thing, that all screens which we have done, we have the complete capability through our system that we can detect the fuzzy matches. We can detect like some suspicious phrases, like we can highlight some unusual words into those particular names. So screening in that perspective. So we have like when we are talking about fuzzy logics. So there was one company name. I say, for example, A.B.C. But the company, it was written like ABC company. It was never written like A.B.C. So what the sanction filter does, the sanction filter totally skip that option, that A.B.C, which is like sanctioned entity. It is passed through the sanction filter. So the capability to intercept these type of combinations, like or the wildcards or the keywords, if your system is not capable, so obviously sometime what will happen that you will pass through the sanction filter and there will no hit will come. And you don't know that this was the true match or this was not the true match. That's the important point. So same like this, some freezing measures we are talking about, and freezing measures is important. Like if you find out any true match, 100% match, and obviously 100% match, you need to ensure nationality, you need to ensure the date of birth, you need to ensure the complete name, which should be hit through your system. That exact true match came. Then obviously you need to confirm match, CNMR. Earlier it was fund freeze report, but now it is known as CNMR, like confirmed matches name match report. And DNMR also, like you need to submit through your GoAML systems in accordance with the procedure set out into the Executive Office guidelines on the TFS. So that's the important point. And beside this, in the sanctions perspective, this circular is more focused. So what we need to do, first of all, we need to ensure this thing that our all customers on daily basis are properly screened. We need to see our thresholds, which is very much important on the screening perspective. We also need to ensure this thing that the all local lists are properly upgraded into our systems. And how we will check this? So therefore, do some random testing. I'll give you the idea. Idea is just choose one like name from the local list if someone is highlighted there as a sanctioned person. So test in your system. Choose some international, like some people at the international level, those who are convicted some commission of crime. So check like those names also into your systems. Not always focus for the like, very prominent pep. Like if I talk to that, like Donald Trump, if I talk to, so these are very prominent. This like system will always catch. But what about if I say you that there is a pep political exposed person like Uhuru Kenyatta, earlier president of Kenya? If like this check this that it is highlighted in your systems or not. So then you will able to know the capability and strength of your service provider. You will able to understand the strength of your screening process. So the important points which we have discussed, like weight perspective, weightages perspective, and reconciliation is important, especially those lists which are coming from the government perspective. And data screening, like you need to ensure this thing that this screening is not the notifications are coming to you properly. It should not be like this data screening message came, today is 14, it came on 10, but in between there's a no message came. So maybe data screening at the back end is not performed. And in case, God forbids, if there was some sanctioned person, so then what we will do? That we need to take care. So fuzzy logics, I have already told you, fuzzy logics plays a very vital role. And for that, like you need to see, like it's obviously sometime deleting some information from the name can create a lot of challenge for you. Then
Mr. Rizwan,
yes, please.
I have just
Doctor,
one suggestion. Yes,
yeah,
thank you.
please.
I have just one suggestion that in adding to what you have mentioned, it is also important that today the world is more going through a process, especially in the compliance field, on performance-driven sanction screening system. So I highly encourage today, I'll just take 2 minutes of the time because you are on sanction screening obligation. I feel that each and every financial institution and DNFBP should have a key performance indicator matrix for their sanction compliance system. Like for any department, any process, this should be done. What could be some of them, probably at AJMS, what we have developed, I would like to share with them. One is the accuracy KPIs. For example, false positive rate, false negative rate, true positive rate vis-a-vis detection rate. These are certain aspects which will help you. Like for example, true positive rate versus detection rate is the percentage of actual sanctioned entity which are correctly identified. This is a very important test because type 1, type 2 error in any algorithm is very important. And as much as what we want, type 1 error is not catastrophic, but type 2 error, for example, in C not identified is a much, much larger risk. So today with the advent of AI and the system which is there, I highly encourage everybody to go into that model because regulators are also getting into this aspect. Second is the efficiency part. I'm using very simple words, but in each of the KPIs, there are very strong terms. Like for example, it can be alert resolution time. So how much time, average time an analyst is taking for level 1, level 2 alerts or for the STR filing is very important, given that there are now timelines given by the regulators, not only in UAE, but in the region to submit the STR filing. So it is very important from that perspective, how volume and the resolution time. So both volume and resolution time is important. And if there is automation process, which you have involved or you have brought in AI, which are critical part with, especially the logic which you were mentioning about fuzzy logic, low risk fuzzy logic and all. So for those automation rate, it is important that you have these KPIs or measurement modules and testing modules. Now, a lot of systems can have the background KPI being monitored and measured. So this is something which you can also strive to do. Last but not the least, I'll not take much time. Quality KPIs is also very important, which you should also have in terms of system downtime, whether the quality of what has been identified, in terms of detection, prioritization, your machine learning, if at all you're using, has been in line with what is required. Sometimes the time lag between the sanction list and the incorporation into the system also is there, and you have to make sure that these latencies are not impacting you. Again, having said these things, near breaches are also very important. You should always try to see if there are near breaches. Those targets trends should be identified. So there are many factors which can be looked into. I think when you are setting up a framework now, regulators are expecting repeated frameworks also for each of the compliance department. KPI is one framework which can be also help them enhance in the overall framework. I just thought since you were on this slide, I'll add some value.
Yeah, thank you very much, Dr. Abhishek. And little bit like one, I will add the question for you because you are luckily here, and thank you because the audience was also looking for you. So one question like, what do you think like, what should be the capability, the qualities which like your software is offering like into the DNFBP especially. So where you are more focused, like where like you have the success of this, that your software is also approved by the authorities. So what the key features you have integrated into the software? So if you can tell us, so it's the right platform. You are mute, Abhishek ji. You are mute. Yeah.
I'll try to give you three major areas. One is the false positive rate, because that is helps the clients to reduce their unnecessary reviews, which they don't need to review, especially with regards to a system. So identify system which will help you, manage this false positive and false negative rate, so that you are able to identify the entities which you should not deal with and avoid those unnecessary reviews. Given everybody, human, it is limited. It is not unlimited supply. So it is always very important. Second is on the, I will focus, our system also focuses on the automation, that how many times based on the machine learning, how the decision making process can be done and efficiency can be increased. So average alert resolution time is something very important. Third is the coverage and the availability of the system. So identify system which is 24/7 up to date. That is very important because the sanction list and the database is critical from the overall perspective. But at the same time, keep testing your system independently as well as from your internal audit department to make sure that the system is arriving or delivering what is expected out of them. So these are three major pillars, I would say, they should focus on. Over to you, Mr. Rizwan. All the
Thank you very
best.
much, Dr.
Take it
Abhishek.
forward,
Thank you
please.
very much. Yeah. So like we have covered like sanction screening obligation in detail. So as Dr. Abhishek also highlighted the key features, what needs to be into our softwares. So now I will move forward like little bit the second part of it, which is like related to the circular number 8 of 2025, which is more focused for the updation of the list of high risk countries and countries like subject to increased monitoring and related measures. So one question was already coming from the Sheetal, which she highlighted the Iran perspective. I know like people are very eager to understand to that answer also. And so I will cover into this now. I will cover this question now. And obviously, like countries subject to increased monitoring, if I give you the oversight of this, so increased monitoring which are in grey list, and these grey list countries came obviously and they were came under some mutual evaluation by the FATF, and FATF like has declared that they have some strategic deficiencies into their compliance which they need to improve. So therefore, into this grey list, if a country never improves their compliance into their country, so from grey list, they are shifted to the blacklist. This is the SOP of the Financial Action Task Force. So FATF conducts the mutual evaluation in which they assess the quality controls at a national risk level. And then they see the strength of the financial sector, they check the of the DNFBP, they check the strength for the VAS, and same like for the NPOs also. So they check that. So high-risk countries like these three countries, especially which FATF has highlighted, Democratic People's Republic of Iran and Myanmar. So now, like, what we do, especially we are dealing and what is our like risk obligation into that perspective. As I told you, first we need to our follow up, like we mostly adhere with the international guidelines which are coming from the Financial Action Task Force. Financial Action Task Force, they have their own mandate in which they want that we need to spread the email message worldwide. We need to ensure the implementation of all 40 recommendations. We also need to ensure this thing that what are new trends and typologies are coming, especially into the DNFB perspective when we are talking about. So that is very important from the FATF perspective and also for our FIU perspective. FIU means Financial Intelligence Unit. So they are also very eager to understand that what are the new trends of the financial criminality is coming into our jurisdiction, what are the new challenges are coming. Maybe earlier money laundering or financial crime were happening in a different perspective, but now it is happening in a different angle. So what we need to do, as I told you, one very important document is EWRA, Enterprise-Wide Risk Assessment. So this Enterprise-Wide Risk Assessment is an internal document which will be based on to your national risk assessment and your sectoral risk assessment. And accordingly, you will align this document according to your risk categorization of your clients. Like you need to have 7 categories, which mostly regulators, they emphasize to understand the enterprise-wide risk assessment, customer type, geographic, product services, delivery channels, counterparty risk, new technologies, and other money laundering and tax financing. So in this perspective, they gauge like, and then this model goes into the next level where you go for the impact assessment, like it's a likelihood or like it's having like intensity, severeness, what is the severeness of this. So you will combine these two metrics together. And then obviously it will have some scores also. So this model not only qualitative, but it also will be the quantitative. Then after that, like you will follow your risk equation, which is like inherent risk minus control effectiveness is equal to your residual risk. And then accordingly, you will determine your risk appetite according to your size and complexity of your business. So equation for the EWRA is like this. So what we need to do, we in real estate, we in insurance, we are in gold, we are in CSP. This document is mandatory, EWRA. And I will request those firms, those who are interested to our help, we are ready to support them. We can help them out to make this document most valuable document into the authorities' perspective. Then customer risk rating. So you need to rate your customers. If we are a real estate, let's suppose. So in this real estate, like how many high-risk clients we are having. And this customer risk rating which we have done, what the parameters we have incorporated. Because here we are only talking about the CRA perspective, customer risk assessment. I'm not touching that area of the business risk assessment. I'm talking about the customer risk assessment perspective. Then obviously like due diligence frameworks. So you have a very concrete frameworks, how you performed your enhanced due diligence. What are those checklist items? So you need to ensure that all enhanced due diligence are done according to the schedules. And what is your SOP for the ongoing monitoring? Same like this, in which cases you conduct your customer due diligence, and some like clients like which have the less risk. So how you conduct the standard due diligence. So these are the important points. So adjust controls according to the new changes. So as like new grey list countries like in October, which were highlighted last year. So what we need to do, we need to upgrade our policy. That this country, which is highlighting, is a grey list country. Accordingly, we need to highlight that. So these changes we need to bring. So obviously, your country risk score will be keep changing accordingly. Because if new updations are coming from the FATF, so obviously we are adhering with the FATF model. So we need to see that which new countries came into the grey list. And if you think some country had come out from the grey list, so accordingly you can minimize the country level score of that, intensity of that particular country also as well. So obligation for DNFBP is very like, as I told you, compliance starts and begins from the risk perspective, and which you need to ensure that risk is properly aligned according to your business. So vulnerabilities and the judgments, like to identify those, you need to conduct some risk analysis. You need to identify the risk of your product, your customers, your geographics of your customers, new technologies risk. You need to determine that risk. Then you will be able to apply the controls. So model should be very clear. What is our risk framework? Compliance is only adherence with the law. And this adherence with the law, the objective is this, that we want to mitigate the uncertainty. We should not be harmed from the illicit actors. So as I promised you that we will also discuss about the high-risk countries or blacklisted countries. So again, you have your high-risk country. We talk. You have high-risk countries like as per the FATF list. So first of all, every company, they have their own risk appetite. You need to see your risk appetite. Accordingly, you will frame this thing that you are dealing with jurisdictions where the risk is more higher. So in your model, if you think like if you are dealing, so your risk becomes more higher beyond your risk appetite. So obviously then management needs to take some decision. But yes, I can talk about, because DNFBP sector, that what the mandatory measures which is highlighted into this new circular need to perform, especially when we are engaging with the high-risk countries. We need to perform enhanced due diligence and all related relationship and transactions. So obviously, when we are engaging these type of transaction, so EDD should be there. And EDD in this perspective, that we know the complete money trail from where the money was started, what was the point of inception, and where the money was ended. Then second, obviously, like there should be some prohibitions on establishing to support like those countries which are already into the blacklist, like for the branches or the subsidiaries or representative office. So at the national level, like this decision needs to be taken that there should be some prohibitions on to establishing branches, subsidiaries, and representative offices, like with those countries which are under sanctioned, under this, like which are under blacklisted countries. And obviously, if let's suppose we talk about the Iran perspective, and if we have like for the due diligence perspective within the Iran, so obviously the credibility is not as much worthwhile. What is required then, obviously, the party should not be in that particular jurisdiction. If the third party will be there in that jurisdiction, so obviously there's the risk of to influence the criteria of the compliance. So therefore, or to distort to the compliance. So therefore, the circular is more focused toward this refrain for relying on third party located in high risk countries to conduct customer due diligence. So that's a very vital point. Then, like obviously, as Dr. Abhishek was also highlighting, that STR mechanism. Because we are compliance, we are not police, by the way. We are compliance. We see that in this particular transaction, you have some doubt, reasonable doubts. So our responsibility, we need to escalate. And our escalation channel is our FIU, Financial Intelligence Unit, through the UAML. We can submit our STR or SAR, whatever it is. And as we were discussing earlier, the timelines. What are the key timelines for the STR, for the SAR? And same like this, when we're talking about earlier, the sanctions perspective. So what is your alert clearance time? Which Dr. Abhishek was also highlighting. That's very much important. How much time you take to clear the alert, and what the investigation you perform when you do the alert clearance. Then, like obviously, last point which is related to this, like high risk countries and the blacklist perspective, like full complete the UNSCR resolution. So, as I told you that our policies, what we cultivate into the AML CFT perspective, we follow the international guidelines for sanctions perspective, United Nations. Because United Nations is the international authority which enforce the sanctions. So therefore, mostly we adhere with the UNSCR resolution because our countries' SOPs are also aligned with the United Nations. Same like this, we can also check the other list, for example, like OFAC, EU, UK, or is some financial institution, so they can follow the IEMS list also, so they can follow that one as well. So enhanced for the gray list, what we need to do, EDD, especially when a country is coming into that, we need to see in our business, what is the stake of this country national in our business. One country came into the gray list. So now we need to see, we need to upgrade our risk model into the country perspective risk. So obviously, if we are dealing, so we need to see that how many high-risk customers we have over in our businesses. If you say we have 80% high-risk businesses, 10 we have medium, and 10 we have low. So then you can gauge how much controls you need to get, how much risk is coming in front of you. So therefore, whenever you deal with any increased monitoring country, you need to conduct the enhanced due diligence. And enhanced due diligence is based on your risk-based approach, which must be aligned with your resources. So periodically reassess existing exposure to the such jurisdictions, increase monitoring. So risk assessment when we conduct, so customers, transactions, and purpose, always very important. If you go for any financial transaction with any bank, so they ask three things, like customer name, beneficiary, and purpose. So from there, they gauge the whole risk of your transaction. And obviously, keep update yourself. What are the recent publications are coming from the FATF, especially in DNFBP for the gold sector, because new typology reports have been published. So you need to upgrade your compliance SOPs according to the new typologies which are upgraded from the FATF perspective. So keep update yourself with the publications of the FATF and also with the local authorities when the new circulars are coming. So you need to keep update yourself. So non-compliance always, especially no regime nowadays can violate any sort of compliance, because compliance, failure to the compliance or failure to the comply with the circulars may bring imposition of administrative measures and also for penalties as well. So you need to take care of that. And so that's a very important part, because litigation, like prosecutions, always are very burdensome for the businesses. So therefore, if you want, you need to secure yourself, so make your compliance more stronger. And we are ready as an AJMS platform to help you out. You need any support, especially we can help you out to make your compliance department, for your compliance affairs, for your compliance SOPs more stronger. So governance accountability committees should be more active into the businesses. Board role is very much anchored. Nowadays, as per the new advancement into the compliance, board have ultimate responsibility of the compliance. So clear ownership should be very clear, as we were discussing earlier, that there should be a dedicated sanctions compliance also officer who needs to maintain complete sanctions compliance program. And there should be a complete ownership for the country risk management whenever changes are coming. So you need to upgrade yourself as well. Documented policies. What I have seen in the industry for the 35 years, the examinations always won by the clients when they have the very strong document. Keep your documents very strong. Especially updation is very important. Policies updation, your tools and technology, your software upgradations. So, and bring more innovation and education into your company related to the AMS CFT, conducting some trainings, establish a good culture of compliance. So this is the small techniques, small efforts if we start today, so we'll get the result at the year end during the examinations. You can't do any compliance within one day. You need to start the day one till end. Small efforts becomes an ocean. So regular trainings is important. Training, the person who is conducting the trainer, he must have more capability. And trainer also must be trained. What we say, in other words, in compliance, train the trainer. So system controls are important. We have already gone through with this, like automated sanction screenings and country risk screening tools. So you can go with our product, which is DG Comply, which is offered our Remitex platform. We are ready to give you the demo, free demo. Those who are interested to take, just send the email to us. We will conduct a free demo session. And then you can see how much it is capable for your businesses. And documentary evidence, as I told you, you need to maintain, and readiness for the supervisory inspection. You must have a complete idea what 14 and 15, 16 items, which mostly ministry or the other authorities, they always inquire. Like your policies, your PEP evaluations, your risk assessments, your audit frameworks, your training frameworks, your reporting frameworks, your monitoring framework. So it's in our fingertips because we do it daily. So same like this, you need to align your, because then your success will come into your compliance with your authorities where your companies are registered. So key takeaways, because I'm end of the session. So obligations are immediate and continuous, sanction compliance, zero tolerance, no tolerance on it. And governance structure should be very much strong. And country risk must be determined, and it should be dynamic. When change is coming in FATF, so accordingly, you need to also upgrade your systems. So thank you very much to all of you. And now I will say, Sheetal, if you have any questions, so you can ask me or Dr. Abhishek. So we are here to answer any question. By the way, we are already running short of time, so you can take one question or two questions. So if you would love to answer that question.
No, I would really thank Dr. Abhishek and you, Mr. Rizwan, for a very insightful session. We have a record number of participants who were very interested in knowing about the recent updates. They have already answered the questions during our session.